What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we got USA versus Europe. Guide to cultural differences. Now, I personally love all kinds of different cultures. I used to be in photography, so I have been through many different types of cultures. Here in America, we are one of the most diverse countries in the entire world.
Yes! Hell yeah!
But not the most diverse country in the world, as the #1 spot is taken by, can you guess? Can you guess? Uganda. Seriously, Uganda is the most diverse country in the world? Wow. Nonetheless, super excited to hop into this one, and without further ado, let's just get started.
Hey there, we are guides from Prague, Czech Republic, and this is one of our favorite pubs. But somebody just recently left a nasty review complaining about the fact that the waiter simply asked them, "You want a beer?" The waiter brought the beer, and then once the person was finished, they brought another beer. And this guy was complaining about it. What is he talking about? That's
What? If somebody brought me a beer right when my beer was finished and just dropped it right off, I would be very happy. I can assume that the person's probably thinking like they're going to get charged for it. They may not have wanted to order another one, but nonetheless, I'm super happy. Bring me all the beer. I love beer.
They brought another beer, and this guy was complaining about it. What is he talking about? That's the best thing. Once you're finished with your beer, they bring another one. So for me, from the perspective of a Czech European, that's a good sign. For an American, that may be kind of weird or rude. So today we want to talk about cultural difference between our country, our city, and United States of America.
It would be weird. It would be out of the normal if somebody just immediately just brought you another beer. If they brought you, like, if you were drinking a Coke or a soda of some kind and they just brought you another soda, completely fine because free refills, you don't have to pay for it. But with a beer, you're obviously going to have to pay for it. So I'm sure they just want some type of confirmation before they bring it, but I would love it.
First of all, you may be surprised what the beer looks like. Well, we have a video dedicated only to that. And second, when I walked in, I didn't look at a beer menu or something that may be quite common in the United States where you have different beers on tap. Most pubs and restaurants in Czech Republic will have one brewery on tap in the pub.
Really?
So that's why you can walk in and just say, "I'll have one." So I kind of like that. You walk into a pub and you don't have a million choices, you just say one. In US, not only you have a choice of beers that are on tap, quite often there's 5, 10, 20.
A lot.
But also, they will ask you, do you want draft or bottle? What kind of question is that? The reason you go to a pub is to get beer on tap, to get draft beer.
Yes, I am 100% with him on this one. If I'm going to a restaurant or to a brewery or a pub or something like that, I want a draft beer. I don't want a bottled beer. I'll buy bottled beer and drink it at home.
Bottled beer, you go to a supermarket. So
Yes.
for us, that's a big cultural difference that quite often we don't understand. Now, a beer here costs 55 crowns. Let's call that $2.50 to round it up. If you go to a stadium, to a sports event here in Prague,
Hold up a second. $2.50. He did say $2.50. That's dollars. That's insane. I mean, I guess you can find some places that you might be able to get a beer for that cheap if it's like a happy hour, buy one, get one free. Most of the time, though, in like a normal place, if you're going to get a beer, it's going to be about $7 or $8.
50 to round it up. If you go to a stadium, to a sports event here in Prague, it's going to cost around $3.
No way. Seriously? $3 at a stadium? You will pay $20 for a beer at a stadium. I know, I was just at a hockey game like a week ago.
US. If you go to a pub, it may cost $5, $6, and you go to a stadium, and it can cost $10, $15, even $20.
Yep.
Honza hates it. Whenever he goes to a sports event, he's always shocked with the price of the beer. I myself, when I travel to US, I usually don't go to sports events, but I like amusement parks. And just recently, I visited Universal Studios. It was the most expensive beer I ever had in my life. $15. I could not believe it.
Yeah.
Now, I understand that going to amusement park, you don't go there for beer, you go there for the rides, but still $15?
Yeah.
It was insane.
It's insane. It literally said insane right when I said it. Yeah, that's wild. $15 is that's actually a pretty good deal at like a stadium or like a huge event like that. I've definitely paid more. But yeah, that is a culture shock for sure.
Why did I do that? Also, fun fact, I did not take a picture of the beer, but I did take a picture of the receipt. Now, the price of the beer, as I said,
And you got a
at the
tip.
amusement park was $15. But I was asked to pay more than $16. Why?
Tax.
It said 15. Well, tax was not included. What is this about? We go to a place, and I'm not only talking restaurants, but any store shop, and the price tag is the final price you pay. It says 55 here, it's gonna cost 55. They include the tax. Why don't you do that in US? It's just sad.
We should do that. And I think it's just because the tax is different with wherever you're going. So our city will have one tax, our county will have one tax, the city over will have a different tax. So they add it on after because you might have an establishment that might be in multiple different cities or multiple different states, as states also have different taxes. But it would be much nicer if the tax wasn't added on, they just had the full price listed out. I would love that. But it's always fluctuating. So
I mean, imagine me, I'm 11 years old, I have my first dollar ever, and I walk into a dollar store, looking forward to buy something for $1. I pick up the item, go to the register, $1.50. What? It's a dollar store, everything costs $1, not dollar store plus tax. Now let's switch from drinks to food. In any place, you can get some food, right? Mostly you pick something from the menu and no further questions will be asked. Well, in US, quite often they will ask you how you want it customized. Do you want bacon? Do you want that cheese? Do you want this cheese? Do you want this or that and that? It gets quite confusing for us. And you can imagine me being 11 years old in US, in New Jersey, first walking to a restaurant, ordering a burger, very much looking forward to it. And they asked me, how do you want your burger done? I said, I don't know, very well done. Thinking that they would make
don't
it
say that.
completely. Yeah, you can imagine what happened. They brought this black piece of meat that was unedible. And all my friends had a laugh about it. Now, to be fair, if you go to a restaurant in Prague nowadays and you will have a burger, they will ask you how you want it done. But once again, the fact that you can customize anything at a restaurant in US is very uncommon for us here. So if you come to a pub or a restaurant in Czech Republic, don't expect that you can customize.
I don't really like customizing stuff. There's some people that are like really picky. A couple of family members like that. When we go out, they gotta like modify the order. I'm just like, I want this, bring it out. I like everything on it. I have no restraints on like my palate, my food palate. So I'm like, hey, just however you guys think it's good, bring it out. But good to know.
On the menu. That's why there's a menu with things that you pick from. I really hope we didn't lose our subscribers from United States. We love you guys. So to say something that we consider to be amazing in US that we don't have here is water. Free water at a restaurant, at a bar, anywhere. You sit down at a table and in US, you get a glass of water. Never happens in the Czech Republic, ever.
Really?
Not only that, if you ask for tap water, quite often they will say, no, we don't serve tap water. And you will get a tiny little bottle of water that you will pay for $2, $3, $4. It's ridiculous. I know a restaurant where I go to, and I will always say, can I get tap water? They're like, no, we can't do that. We can only sell you a bottle. And I quite often say, I'll pay you the same price that I'll pay for the bottle for tap water. Like, no, we can't do that. Crazy.
Well, first of all, who would pay for tap water over like a nice bottled water? I don't know. Seems kind of wild to me, but hey, nonetheless, that's crazy. You guys don't get like literally if you go to a restaurant here, you'll just sit down and get a water. I guess I'll have to pay for a lot of waters when I go over to Europe.
Why did we cut to here? Where we are here to thanks to our partner, which is Surfshark VPN. We're actually on the border with Germany, also many cultures. Germany.
Back to the video
where I'm describing the differences between US and Czech Republic. Now let's talk about service in restaurants and pubs, because that may be a bit of a shock for you when...
Okay, I've heard a little bit about service between USA versus Europe. So curious to see what he has to say. I've gotten wind of a couple of things, but yeah, should be interesting.
You come to Prague. Yes, quite often it is rude and not polite at all. That's also a huge difference for us when we go to US and
what do you say? I missed
when
it.
you come to pubs, because that may be a bit of a shock for you when you come to Prague. Yes, quite often it is rude and not polite at all. That's also a huge difference for us when we go to US and a waitress will come to our table and she will introduce herself and she will smile and she will maybe recommend something from the menu. That would never happen here. I mean, it's changing, don't get me wrong. Service is getting better, but if you go to like a local place, a dive bar, which I would consider this place to be, quite often they'd be grumpy, and it takes a long time for them to get to know you, and after maybe a 20th visit, they will share a little smile with you. Not like in US. First-time visitor, oh, I love coming you to our restaurant. My name is Bendy. Can I take your order? Hey, Wendy. Speaking of Wendy, when I
Okay, so service is bad. You guys let me know. I know every country is different, but let me know if the service really is bad like that. Like people are rude when you sit down. I feel like that would be awkward for me to experience. I went to lunch today with my mother, and literally they were like overly polite. She came to the table like 3 times in a row, just asking how everything was. It was almost like too much. I was like, "We're good. We just want to eat." So yeah, that's crazy that everyone's so like cranky when they work in the service industry.
was called darling or honey in a restaurant in US, I was like, she really loves me. She just called me darling. I like that. I mean, I like the bartender here, but he never calls me darling. Let's make it stay that way, okay? We're tough guys. Even though the two of us consider the service at places in the United States very good and very nice and very polite, there is one thing that we consider to be very rude. And that is, you're finishing your meal or maybe you're halfway through and suddenly a bill lands on your table. What is that? Are you kicking me out? That would never happen here.
Really?
Any business, restaurant, pub, coffee place tries to keep you in the place as long as possible. You're done with your meal, they'll offer you a dessert. You're done with your dessert, they will offer you coffee. You're done with your coffee, maybe you want to start over and have another appetizer. In other words, they want to keep you in as long as possible. You have to ask for the bill. In US, very often, you're halfway through, here's your bill. I'm like, well, maybe I want another something. No, the bill is already on the table. Just weird.
Well, the whole reason that they do that is they're trying to flip tables to get new tables in so that they can make more money. Not every restaurant is super pushy about the bill, though. Some of them will ask, "Are you ready for the check?" I don't know if that would seem rude over in like a European restaurant, but yeah.
Speaking of the bill, let's dive into tipping. And that can create some big issues because that's a big cultural difference. In US, quite often we get asked, do you want to tip 15, 18, 20, 25%? Which for us is like, whoa,
18.
That's a lot. A quarter of the bill just tips because it's a tip-based country or tip-based business. In Czech, that used to be very, very different. I mean, my dad would only round up the bill to the next higher number. If the bill was 99, he would round it up to 100. I believe most of our dads and mothers still do that. Nowadays, it's changing even here, and tipping goes from 10% higher if you're satisfied with the service. If the service is really bad, some people will simply not tip. If that would happen in the US, that you would not leave a single cent on a tip, I've experienced people running out of the restaurant and be like,
Yeah, that's pretty. That I don't think maybe once or twice in my entire life I've never not left a tip, and it was because like the service was absolutely horrendous. If it is really bad service and it's strictly on the the waitress that is the one messing everything up and she's rude or something, I might leave just a couple of bucks, maybe 5%, but usually never nothing.
What did we do wrong? Like, why did you not tip? So tipping is very, very different, and I'm curious what you will say about that in the comments.
I have a question. When I go to Europe and I'm eating there, and like if I'm leaving tips at all the restaurants, is that going to seem weird? Or, if I'm tipping like, because I usually tip around 18%, 20%, would that be, I don't think it would be considered rude, right? If I'm leaving a tip for someone, they're going to try and give it back to me, tell them that I gave them too much money. That's kind of interesting. I don't know. Let me know what I should do.
Whatever country you're from, I want to read what's the average tipping in your country. Now, this cultural difference is not only huge, but I consider it to be evil, and that is packaging and garbage in general. I'm not talking about if you go to a place where it's a takeout or you go to a fast food. Yes, they put it in a paper bag, either if you're in US or here. But I'm talking about if you go to a restaurant and they create so much garbage, so much waste, even though you're at a restaurant. Quick example. Mostly if you get a drink at a bar in US, they put a napkin under it. So it soaks the moist that's running under it. Well, that's for one use only. Afterwards, they will throw away the napkin. How about they use coasters? because you can reuse the coaster. And that's just one very
use
simple
coasters.
example. Another one is if you order a ketchup at this place, they will bring it either a bottle, some places in the US do that too, or they put it in a ceramic cup that they clean afterwards. Not that they grab 20 ketchups and throw them next to your burger. Or even in McDonald's in Czech Republic, you pay for every single tiny packaging of any
What?
sauce, any ketchup. So you think about if you want one
Really?
or two. In US, yeah, can I get some ketchup? Here you go, here's a...
That is exactly what they do. They will literally just take their entire... They will throw 2 handfuls of ketchup or whatever sauce you're getting at a fast food restaurant. It's ridiculous. I can't stand it. I'm like, I just need like 3. I'm good.
million ketchups in tiny little bags. No, don't do that. I mean, you guys are going all Michael Bay packaging. Like, hey, yeah, that's a plastic bag. Let's put it in a paper bag and let's put more packaging and pack it up. You want it to go? Yeah, let's pack it up more. Meanwhile, in Europe, yeah, let's get rid of plastic straws. They really destroy the universe. There's going to be one hell of a discussion under this video. I absolutely love you guys from US, and I love going to US, just so you know. We both do. Please don't cancel my ESTA. Now let's drop the beer for a minute, and let's talk about coffee and coffee culture differences between USA and Europe. Triggered already? Well, you'll get triggered more. Yes, in Europe, we do not consider this to be a cup of coffee. That's a gallon of coffee.
I don't consider that to be a cup of coffee either. That's just a lot of empty calories.
In a gallon, it's not coffee. This is a cup of coffee. By the way, shocker, they have a cup of coffee in this pup. It's served in a ceramic cup. It's this size. You have a plate
That's
under
tiny.
it. It makes that little noise when you put it down. You sometimes even get a spoon with it so you can mix your little espresso. And this is how you drink it. Not a gallon. Doesn't fit.
Wait, when you drink it, do you have to have your pinky out like that? Like when you drink it, like that? Our coffee mugs are like massive. They're huge.
Car so you can drive and sip on your little coffee soup throughout the day. Big difference, big shocker for us when we go to places in US and they simply don't serve something like this. Hold your horses. I know that coffee culture in US is changing depending on which state you live in, if you live in a city and so on, but still mostly people think this is coffee and you cannot get this. It's sad for us Europeans. Can I get a cup of coffee? You want venti grande, grande XL, grande XXXXL?
It's not necessarily the size. It's like the type of coffees they are. It's like a Americano with caramel drizzle or a Frappuccino with mint and chocolate in it. I'm like, I like coffee with like a little bit of splash of cream and that's it. I'm good. Or like an espresso.
Like the Italians drink it. Whoa, 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 whoa. Now this next cultural difference may sound weird, but I believe it should be addressed. And that is restrooms and toilet sizes in restaurants and pubs. And I'm not talking about the actual seat size, but I'm talking about you have a big pub and there's one toilet. There's like one restroom for the entire pub where there's like hundreds of people. And the stalls where you can like sit to do number 2 are very like see-through. Like there's no privacy. Like there's no door at the bottom.
Yeah.
Like if somebody peeks, they can see you. Yeah, it's kind of strange. And girls
Are you guys not like that? You guys don't have like the gap underneath like that? That I don't think I mean, maybe if I'm like a really, really nice place, those won't be there and it'll just be enclosed or it'll be like a legit room, but like 95% of the bathrooms that I go in are all like this. Do you guys not have those gaps down there like that?
door at the bottom, like if somebody peeks, they can see you. Yeah, it's kind of strange. And girls talk about that a lot. Both our girls talk about it, how like it's kind of weird that people can really see you. So that's a big difference. If there's a big pub here, it has many restrooms, many toilets.
Oh yeah, that looks way different.
You know, do the business people need. And
that looks nice. Yeah, you guys are definitely doing bathrooms way better than us. That looks nice. It's like, I mean, this is kind of what I was talking about. Like, if you're in a really, really nice place, the bathrooms might be like this, but you really don't see it that often. These are, I'm not even going to say it.
Accommodate many people at the same time. And of course, the ones we mentioned are not the only cultural differences between our continents. There's many more. We can talk about different units. We can talk about different forms of transportation, how we move around cities and countries, how big are our cars and your cars, and many more topics. So let us know in the comments if you want us to cover more topics. And while you're there, please don't be mad at us. This was not made to insult you, only to give you perspectives on our culture habits and your cultural habits that we experience when we go over to your lovely continent that we love to visit, but sometimes we're just like, huh, that's weird. We're the Honest Dudes from Prague. That dude's name is Honza. My name is Janek. We go by The Honest Guide, our channel full of content. So if you're planning to come to Prague, Europe,
check out our
videos. We do scams, we show you beers, we show you restaurants, coffee places, and cultural differences. I'll see you next week, Sunday.
Sweet, awesome. That was a great recommendation. I really like that a lot. Not really what I was expecting. I guess like some of the cultural differences was, I don't know, I guess I don't know exactly what I was expecting, but really cool. Appreciate you guys watching. If you do me a favor, hit that like button on your way out or not, doesn't matter. Appreciate you. Have a good day. Bye.